morning after the storm, the playground is a crime scene. Yellow and black barrier tape fences you in where you fell, stung to your heart flesh when lightning used your body to find the earth, charred to your star-shaped center, sap and soft pulp to cinder. The night before, I saw you, twitching with pain, as if something was about to happen, ready to be ravished, before that bright shock burned you out, hollowed you with heat. I knew you could never recover from being so alive. Today, I draw a chalk outline on the blacktop where you fell. The next one was about the super bloom in California last year, and it's called Super Bloom. It's the second super bloom in 3 years, and tourists are taking pilgrimages to see the California poppies that arrived with the spring. Travelers are hiking the hills, the neon fields, sun-tranced and swooning, delirious with color. I think about the seeds that waited years to be transformed, the red-orange buds that waited to resurrect. I'd forgotten about how cruel beauty can be, how flowers can rise up after drought and wildfire, rain and smoke. You tell me that nature is like the bear that hunts the deer, brutal and indifferent. Now I remember how terrible it is, how when the flower petals open in the morning, they still have black eyes. And the next one is called Library, and it has an epigraph, which is, "My library is an archive of longings," and that's from Susan Sontag's Journals and Notebooks. I put you in my archive of longings with the memory of Palo Verdes against a blue sky, the bee sting and the indigo wildflower bruise, between the book of water and the history of thirst. I want to remember the velvet wet feeling of your mouth and the desert rain scent of creosote bush when we were drunk on juniper whiskey and desire. Your voice dizzied the blackbirds. I want to remember you so I can pull you out later. The next poem is called "Why I Will Never Kiss You Again." Because you withered the daffodils I planted in the window box. Because you pinned the dying flowers to my dress. Because you clipped the rope with the sewing scissors. Because you buried the iron nails out back by the mulberry bush. Because you drained the bird bath the birds couldn't wade in the shallows. Because you disturbed the nest in the knothole. Because you forgot the valentine you carved into the tree. Because you stole my wings and hid them in the closet. Because I tripped over the hammer you dropped in the doorway. Because when I fell, you left. The next one is called Limerence. I remember dark red leaves above an open door, cinnamon in an entryway keeping out the ants. I remember the lip of a glass crystallized with sugar, honey alchemized into amber-hued wine. I remember the moon hemorrhaged blood as it moved through Earth's umbra. I remember its redness made me feral, never so aware of my own body. But what I remember most is whiskey dark skin, bruised with longing, hips held like a cello, and a pleasure-opened mouth. How can I explain the texture of a memory, the shape of a feeling, the throb of something, a kind of pain. There are 1,000 names for flesh, and as many for ways of aching. But all I can say is that you left me, gold-arrowed, desire-wounded, with the memory of youth still in my spine. The next one is called Morphology of Darts. After I read about snail courtship, I looked for them in the grass, skin taut as the skin of an eyelid, flesh tender as the tongue, soft whirls of their gold-brown bodies, filling the whirligigs of their shells, wielding darts like wands, like swords. I watched one feel his way toward his mate, using his senses to find her. The two danced for hours, touching tentacles, tasting, biting, before he finally lodged his bony spine in her side. Graceless Cupid, archer with the want-tipped arrow, shooter with the needle. I watched the speared snail bleeding from her wound, surprised by the sensation of attraction. A tooth, a thorn, a unicorn horn, while the other snail moved back through the garden, leaving his milky translucence behind. When we were first together, I remembered that slow dance, transfixed by your amber shape, gorgeous anatomy. O weapon, O God of love, it was startling to discover how easily you could hurt me. And the next poem was in response to a prompt, which was to write about a poem inspired by a Russian dessert or pastry. So the dessert I chose is called Zephyr, and it's named after the Greek god of the west wind, Zephyrus, and the poem is called Zephyr. You arrive with the spring, sighing through apple trees, gently lashing, all airy moan and beating wings. I unbury the secret in the rose bed, the soil wet and marshmallow soft. You write a poem full of crushed petals of wind-whipped flowers, curled leaves and feathers. Sculpt mud into a mouth and tell me how pleasure sounds, how music splits the sky, how a voice opens an entrance to paradise. Aeolian messenger, I ask for so little. Let me be the promise on your tongue. Let me be the song in your throat. At rest. I fall into time and stay until the shadows swallow the sky and draw me into the darkness, until life dissolves from the world and sound dies with the stars. I lay on the earth, grass thrilling below my back. Flowers grow through me, their stems trembling by my head, hollowing me of memory, filling me with the movement of wings, while moon slivers fall like so many frail and silver smiles, and the wind wakes my bones. I have been dead, and yet now I'm alive, but let me rest still. Okay, and the next poem is an aphrastic poem. I had read this essay about how in the 19th century, it was popular to have your eyes painted, like portraits of your eyes. So yeah, it was inspired by that idea, and they were called Lover's Eyes. And the piece that I based my poem on is called I Miniature with Cupid. The sole act, the only scene, Cupid draws back a curtain like he draws back his bow. A single eye peers from behind, a sun through the clouds that surround it. It stares into eternity, beyond the blue boundary of imagination, the vanishing point of vision. It is subject and subjecting, dark iris, taut lid, arching brow, and eyelash fine detail. A look like an arrow aimed at the horizon. A moment in art's history, the story of sight in miniature, when lovers exchanged paintings of their eyes like secrets, when looking was as sinful as peeking through a keyhole, when watercolor eyes were worn on wrists, held close to the heart. Send me a portrait of your right eye the first time you saw me cry. I'll mail you a likeness of my left eye the last time I watched you undress. And we can lessen the distance between us, witness each other in the space where the soul exists outside the body. The eye is neither a symbol nor a window, but a portal to the sky, the endless ever after. It is the lingering after image that will outlast us all. The next poem was inspired by Homer's The Odyssey, and specifically the part where he and his men visit Circe's island and he lives with her for a year. And it's called Shipwrecked Odysseus with Circe. We walk the strand, hands not held. Sea flowers star the sand, resembling the mica above, forming patterns on the ground. We speak in some advanced language. I read the moles on your body like stars of a constellation, memorize the furrowed mythology of your skin. The moles on your body become points on a map where I plant a torn flag for each new victory. I shipwreck on the crest of your collarbone, an isle so small, explore what I missed before now. A shore, a sea, a beauty mark. We sit and salt our flesh to taste sweeter, feed our hunger when it's too late to eat. We swallow each other's words like sweet milk, smile as they melt down our throats. You perform the first act of love, examine the eternal lines etched on the palm of my hand that tell you the story of my past. I study the curve of your back, your spine, a coastline. Use the compass rose of your birthmark to cross the ocean. And if I stay too long, at last you will speak, telling me everything you have to say, your life, your love, your lies. The bittersweet. I was the wayward siren born under the star of Persephone, and you were the wine-dark sin that unmoored me, unscrolled me like a papyrus found in a room, made me feel as if I was a liar. Do you remember the shipwreck, the song, the cave, the bind, the apple, the fall, and everything else that exists in the space between you and burning? Now I see past you, and I've been changed. Death has been near me. I've been praying to the wrong God all along, but you spared me the worst. You showed me the devil's face blushing in the dark. It's possible I cried. What's the difference? Okay, this next poem was inspired by Socrates' myth of cicadas. And in the myth, cicadas were once humans, but they were enchanted by the muses, and they sang and danced for so long that they forgot to sleep and eat, and so they just died without noticing. And it's called Eros. Late July arrives, dog star Sirius rises in the sky. Cicada nymphs sip sap through their straws, the last drink before they emerge from underground, undress, escape their skins, leaving the husks of their bodies behind, like the memory of their shadow selves. They settle high in trees and announce themselves with sound, harp-like, cultic, a chorus performing hollow-bodied hymns, humming Orphic valentines for their insect muses, waiting for the answer of wings that signifies I will and yes. They sing and mate in summer heat until they starve, drowning and dying in music, becoming song, becoming pleasure. The next one is called Aeon of Horus. Your body appears like an omen, your torso tattooed, glyphic. Use the sun in your all-seeing eye to find me, and I yield to your will, become your bright vision. Give me your carnelian blood to fill up my holy cup, and I use the lapis map of the zodiac to lead you across the time-forgotten wild nothing to the city where every body is bodiless, made of dust, and watch you burn until you're whole enough for resurrection, to rise in the next world in the republic of the lion and cupbearer, where all other god-men and dead pharaohs are already stars, navigating the dark by their own light. I teach you to exist in new ways. You become the Sphinx, sculpted, talismanic, your silent shape, tall shadow, the art of your jawline. I excavate your topaz mystery, or become the pyramid to get closer to your secret. I am mistress of all, redeemer, the moon in your left eye, your lantern. And the next one is called Pagan. We ready our bodies, take milk baths, soften our skin with Pompeii lotion to prepare. We anoint our pulse points with Florida water, sweeten ourselves with citrus and clove until we're pure enough to be changed. We're piñatas, wonder-filled with marzipan and fruit, sugarcane and heart candy, wearing crowns of tinsel and wreaths of thistle. We swallow rum spiced with hot pepper from wine cups, worship you with offerings of knives and cigarettes. Mater Dolorosa, Black Madonna, Erzuli, we recite your many names, channel your crying spirit, conjure you with our tears. They took your tongue, so we translate your suffering into language, story into song. When the day gets pagan dark, we lick the strawberry moon until we're tranced and delirious, lunar with delicious madness. Tonight we dance to raise the dead. Tonight we give our limbs to the sky. Tonight we rise. And the next poem is called Absinthe. You serve it like you're supposed to, sugar melting in cloudy green. I lick the spoon. Your face blooms in the fairground lights that glitter in my windows. We sit on the floor, share the glass, and live in the anise sweet moment, spinning with stars in our mouths. And then got one more. It's called Boredom. We shoplift malt liquor from convenience stores, sip wine while we recline on hoods of cars. Midwest heat bears down. The air is humid and summer thick with smoke. We flick ashes onto wet asphalt and dare each other to flirt with the men on the corner. Their mouths taste like cigarettes and experience, their arm muscles twisted with tattoos. We brave the streets and explore the city, woozy and reeling from laughter, giddy with longing. Our lips are slick with red, the color of ruby slippers. Our flyaway hairs twirl in the wind. We break the hearts of boys we teased into loving us, trespass on neighbors, throw rocks at windows. We celebrate the small violence of boredom, the twinge of youth. Violet bruises the night sky, and every star looks like an exit. That's it.